I booked a $9,400 family trip to Italy for Dad's 60th birthday. 3 months of planning. Flights, hotels, train passes between Rome and Florence, restaurant reservations to see the Colosseum and the Vatican, the places Dad always dreamed of visiting before his knees gave out. I upgraded my parents and brother Marcus to premium economy. Booked myself a budget seat and a small room in Florence because I thought that's what love looked like. Then I got a text from Mom. Simple, casual, we gave your spot to Marcus's girlfriend. She's more fun. My reply was just as short, got it. That night, I canceled the entire trip. Flights, hotels, everything. Non-refundable. Didn't care. And I changed the locks to the family house, my house, where they'd been living rent-free for 5 years. When they returned stranded from Rome, the locks were changed, the house was empty, and their credit cards declined at the airport coffee shop. Before I go any further, drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because what I did next is going to make you rethink every family favor you've ever given. It started innocently enough. Dad was turning 60, a milestone, and I thought, what better way to celebrate than the trip he'd always dreamed about? He'd spent decades talking about walking through the ruins of ancient Rome, standing in the Sistine Chapel, eating real carbonara in a tiny Roman trattoria. Mom loved Italian pasta like it was a religious experience. And Marcus, my younger brother, said he wanted to see Renaissance art in person, not just in textbooks. So I did what everyone told me not to do. I paid for all of it. $9,400. I spent my weekends hunched over my laptop, comparing flight prices, calculating hotel proximity to tourist sites, researching which train passes would get us between cities most efficiently. I coordinated the entire itinerary around my work deadlines, and I work long shifts, the kind that leave you exhausted and empty. I booked premium economy for them. Upgraded seats with extra legroom, priority boarding, complimentary meals. For myself? Budget economy. Middle seat. And a small room in Florence while they got the suite. I told myself it was fine. I told myself this was what family meant. Sacrifice. Generosity. Love. But here's the thing about being the family ATM. It doesn't start with big asks. It starts with guilt. Not even direct requests, just subtle implications that worm their way into your brain until you're the one offering before they even have to ask. Mom had perfected it over the years. Marcus is doing his best, but it's so hard for young people these days. Pause. Meaningful look. You're lucky to have such a stable job. Not everyone can say that. Another pause. We're so proud of you. I just wish Marcus had your drive. At first, I paid because I wanted to help. Marcus was my younger brother. I figured helping him finish college was the right thing to do. I covered his tuition when he couldn't get enough financial aid. Bought him textbooks. Got him a new laptop when his old one mysteriously broke 2 weeks before finals, though I noticed the screen worked fine, he just wanted an upgrade. But help became expectation faster than I realized. 3 months after graduation, Marcus still hadn't applied for a single job. Still figuring things out, he said, sprawled on my couch playing video games all day. I'd come home from a 12-hour shift to find him there, feet propped on my coffee table, eating takeout I'd paid for, in a house I owned. And Mom would say, he just needs some time. Don't pressure him. Dad wouldn't even look up from his tablet. Let the boy breathe, he'd mutter, like I was the problem for existing in my own home. It got worse when Marcus got a girlfriend. Jade moved in 2 months after they started dating. No rent discussion. No asking permission. Just suddenly there, sprawled across my couch, eating my groceries, using my Wi-Fi, taking over my Netflix account with her reality show marathons. One evening, I came home to find her filming herself in my dress shoes. Actual dress shoes I wore to work. She was doing some kind of social media video, posing and pouting for her phone. "What are you doing?" I asked, genuinely confused. She looked up with this wink. "I'm doing a character. Don't be weird." I stood there, holding my work bag, exhausted from another long shift, watching this woman wear my shoes for internet attention. And Marcus just laughed from the couch. "Dude, relax. She's funny." Funny. That word would haunt me. Still, I stayed silent. Kept paying. Because family, right? Because what would Dad say if I caused drama? Because, you make more than enough anyway. When Marcus lost the job I'd helped him get, showed up late 3 times in his first week, I covered his car payments so his credit wouldn't tank. When Jade totaled her old sedan, I co-signed for a used Mazda. Stupid, I know. But they wore me down with gratitude that felt real in the moment and disappeared the second the papers were signed. And when they announced they wanted to come on Dad's birthday trip, I didn't even blink. I adjusted the plans. Added more hotel rooms. Rebooked reservations. Shifted my own paid time off around their schedules. Because that's what you do for family. Or at least, that's what I thought family meant. What I got for all of it was a text message that would shatter everything. The morning they were supposed to leave for the airport, I was at work. My phone buzzed during a meeting. I glanced at it. Text from Mom. I figured it was just last-minute travel details or a thank you for organizing everything. I opened it. We gave your spot to Marcus's girlfriend. She's more fun. I stared at the screen. Read it again. The blinking dots appeared below, like she was typing more, like there was additional cruelty waiting to load. But nothing came. Just those 12 words. No apology. No explanation. Just a casual dismissal, like she was telling me they'd switched dinner reservations. I sat there in that meeting, watching my coworkers' mouths move, hearing nothing but white noise. 3 months of planning. $9,400 of my money. My father's 60th birthday trip. And they'd replaced me. Given my spot to Jade. Because she was more fun. I excused myself. Walked calmly to the bathroom. Locked myself in a stall. And read the message over and over, waiting to feel something other than this strange, cold clarity. Because here's what I realized, it wasn't shock I was feeling. It was recognition. This wasn't new. This was just them finally saying out loud what they'd been communicating for years. I wasn't fun. I wasn't entertaining. I was useful. A wallet with a pulse. And the moment I stopped being the entertaining option, I stopped mattering. I pulled up my text thread with Mom. Typed 2 words, got it. Sent it. Put my phone in my pocket. Went back to work. And nobody in that office had any idea that I'd just made a decision that would destroy everything. That night, I came home to my empty apartment. The place I'd been renting for the past year while they occupied my house. They didn't even know I had this apartment. Thought I was staying with friends or working late whenever I wasn't home. I sat down at my laptop. Opened my email. Started pulling up confirmations. Flights. Hotels. Train passes. Restaurant reservations. Everything I'd booked for Italy. Everything they were probably at the airport right now, excited about, posting photos of, celebrating. Every booking had the same warning, non-refundable. Cancellation will result in total forfeiture. I clicked cancel. And again. And again. Watched 3 months of planning disappear with each click. $9,400 evaporating into nothing. And I felt nothing. Just cold, focused satisfaction. The kind that comes from knowing you're about to do something that can't be undone. My inbox flooded with confirmation emails. Your reservation has been cancelled. Your booking has been terminated. No refund will be issued. Over and over. Like a eulogy for their vacation. I saved every single cancellation receipt. Downloaded them. Organized them into a folder. Evidence. Protection. Truth. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I grabbed my keys. Drove to the house they'd been living in. My house. The one in my name, where they'd been living rent-free for 5 years while I pretended it was temporary. While I told myself they just needed a little help getting back on their feet. I let myself in. Walked through the rooms they'd colonized with their mess. Marcus's video game controllers on the coffee table. Jade's makeup scattered across the bathroom counter. Mom's knitting projects on the dining chairs. Dad's newspapers stacked by his recliner. All of it in my house. None of it with my permission. I pulled out my phone. Called a locksmith. I need every lock changed. Tonight. Emergency service. Sir, it's 11 p.m. I'll pay double. Every lock. Front door, back door, side entrance, garage. Everything. He arrived by midnight. I watched him work, drilling out the old locks, installing new ones. Watched each old key become useless metal. Each turn of the drill felt like justice. When he finished, he handed me the new keys. Just one set. Mine. I stood in the driveway afterward, holding those keys, listening to the house settle in the quiet. They were on a plane right now. Probably sleeping. Probably dreaming about cappuccinos in Rome and gelato in Florence. They had no idea what was waiting when they got back. But I wasn't finished. There was one more thing to do. I went back inside. Opened my laptop. And started gathering evidence they thought I'd never find. See, I'd installed a smart home security system months ago. Not to spy, at least, not originally. I'd wanted alerts during my long work shifts. Notifications if anyone came or went. Just basic security stuff. Now I pulled every log from those systems. Every access report. Every timestamp. I downloaded them all. And started building a timeline. The security system showed me every time Jade had used the keypad code, my code, the one I'd given Marcus for emergencies, to let herself in. And not just herself. Friends. Parties. People I didn't know using my house like it was theirs. I pulled the edit history from our shared calendar. Marcus had access because we supposedly needed to coordinate family stuff. But the history showed he'd been deleting my appointments, my doctor visits, my work events, deleted and replaced with his own entries, including Italy trip prep events where he and Jade had been planning what to do on my vacation, my money, my trip, their plans. I downloaded 5 years of network router archives. Every website visited on my Wi-Fi. Marcus had job searched exactly 0 times. Not once in 5 years. Meanwhile, Jade had streamed shows 8 to 12 hours daily. On my subscriptions. My Netflix. My Hulu. My accounts. I organized every screenshot I'd saved over the years. Every Venmo request from Marcus. Every text about emergencies. Every promise to pay you back next month, I swear. I put them in chronological order. Created a spreadsheet. Marcus's promises to repay versus actual payments received, $0 over 5 years. Then I pulled up Mom's credit card. The one I'd given her when they moved in, just for household emergencies. I requested 5 years of transaction history. Categorized every purchase. Actual household emergencies, 3%. Luxury purchases for Marcus and Jade, 47%. Mom's personal shopping, 50%. By 3 in the morning, I had it all compiled. 5 years of exploitation. Documented. Organized. Timestamped. Ready. But I didn't do anything with it yet. Just saved it. Backed it up to 3 different cloud services. And waited. Because they'd given me something even better than evidence. They'd given me time. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing. Text from Marcus, "Yo, can you wire us some spending money? Jade forgot her card and Dad says the exchange rates in Rome are terrible." I stared at that message. Lying in bed. Watching the sun come up. Reading those words over and over. They'd stolen my spot. Given it to Jade. Called her more fun. And now they wanted me to fund their vacation anyway. Our vacation. The one they'd excluded me from. An hour later, another text, "Come on, man. Don't be salty. This is supposed to be about Dad, not you. About Dad. Not me. Never me. Always them. Always their needs, their wants, their convenience." I didn't respond. Just took screenshots. Added them to the evidence folder. And imagined them standing in Rome, refreshing their banking apps, waiting for money that would never come. For more days, I thought. For more days and they'll be standing on my porch with nowhere to go. And I went about my day like nothing had changed. Pause for a second. Comment 1 if you've ever been the family ATM everyone expects to pay for everything. Comment 2 if you think canceling the trip was justified. Comment 3 if you'd have done something even worse. Because what happens on day 5 is going to blow your mind. 5 days into their Italian vacation, my phone rang. Unknown number. International. Italian area code. I answered. "Hello? Mr. Adams?" Professional voice. Slightly accented. "This is Elena from the Grand Hotel Roma. I'm calling regarding your group reservation." My group reservation. The one I'd canceled 5 nights ago. "Yes?" I kept my voice neutral. "I'm afraid we're experiencing an issue. The credit card on file for your reservation has been declined. And there's a discrepancy with the guest list. A non-authorized person appears to have been added to the suite." There it was. Confirmation. They'd done exactly what I suspected. Swapped me out for Jade on the reservation without telling the hotel. Used my card to pay for her room. Thought I'd never notice or never care. "I understand," I said calmly. Professionally. "I need to flag those charges as fraudulent. I'll be shutting down that card immediately." "Sir, I should inform you that the guests are currently—" "I'm aware they're currently occupying the room," I interrupted. "Please remove all guests from the reservation effective immediately. Consider it cancelled. And I'd appreciate if you'd alert security in case anyone tries to dispute the cancellation. They're not authorized." There was a pause. "Sir, they're in the room right now." "I'm aware," I repeated. "They can figure out their own accommodations. They're adults." I hung up. Opened my banking app. Flagged every Italy charge as fraudulent. Disputed them all. Shut down the credit card entirely. Requested a new one sent to my apartment, not the house. Then I went back to work. Answered emails. Attended meetings. Acted like I hadn't just left 4 people stranded in a foreign country with no hotel, no money, and no way home. They'd figure it out eventually. Just like I'd had to figure everything out on my own for the past 5 years. 4 days later, I was in my kitchen making coffee when I heard it. Car doors slamming in the driveway. Multiple voices rising in pitch and volume. Mom's distinctive high-pitched whine. Marcus's defensive yelling. Jade's shrill complaints cutting through everything. I didn't rush. Just stirred my coffee slowly. Added cream. Took a sip. Let them bang on the door while I savored that first hot swallow. Then came the pounding. Boom. 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 Open the door. We know you're in there. I walked calmly to the front door. Coffee still in hand. Looked through the peephole. They were a mess. Marcus's face was red and splotchy, his clothes wrinkled like he'd slept in them. Mom looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a hasty ponytail. Dad stood silent behind their pile of luggage, staring at nothing. And Jade, for some reason I'll never understand, was barefoot. Her shoes dangling from one hand, feet dirty from the driveway gravel. I unlocked the deadbolt. Opened the door just enough to see them clearly. What happened to our keys? Marcus demanded immediately. Not, hello. Not, we need to talk. Just demands. I took a slow sip of coffee. Let him wait. Oh, you mean the keys I had rekeyed? Those don't work anymore. His eyes went wide. Seriously, man? Are you serious right now? I nodded. Come. Dead serious. Mom pushed forward, trying to move past Marcus. We just got off a 14-hour flight. We're exhausted. We're hungry. Let us in right now. You're trespassing, I said evenly. This is private property. Jade cut in, voice dripping with sarcasm and entitlement. You're actually locking out your own family? Over what, you being petty about a vacation? I looked at her for a long moment. Studied her face. The same face that had been in my house uninvited for months. The same person who'd worn my shoes for social media attention. Who'd treated my home like her personal set. You're not my family, I said. Flat. Simple. Final. Her jaw actually dropped. Marcus's eyes went wide with something like shock. Okay, wow, Marcus said, his voice cracking slightly. This is really messed up. Do you have any idea what happened? We were stranded in Rome with no money, no hotel, no Wi-Fi. Do you have any idea what that was like? I took another sip of coffee. Let him see how unbothered I was. Must have been tough. Imagine being stuck in a foreign country on someone else's dime, expecting them to just accept it. Oh wait. That's exactly what you did to me. Marcus's face flushed deep red. You humiliated us. You canceled everything. You froze the cards. They froze everything and we couldn't even. Yeah, I interrupted, folding my arms across my chest. That tends to happen when you commit credit card fraud. Mom gasped. Actually gasped like she was in a soap opera. Fraud? Oh, don't be so dramatic. I held up my phone. On the screen, a paused email from the hotel manager. Screenshot clearly visible. Unauthorized guest added to reservation. Charges disputed. I turned the screen toward Marcus. Did you or did you not add Jade to the suite using my name and credit card without my permission? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Looked at Jade like she might have an answer. She just stared back. Then I stepped aside slightly. Just enough for them to see past me into the house. The living room was completely empty. The couch Marcus used to sprawl on? Gone. The dining table they'd eaten at? Gone. Every piece of furniture they'd used like they owned the place, donated to charity 3 days ago. You emptied the house, Mom whispered, stepping forward like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Correction, I said. I emptied my house. You lived here for 5 years without paying rent. Without contributing. Without respect. But it was always mine. Mom's face twisted into something ugly. We're your family. This is disgusting. You're punishing us for one mistake? I laughed. Actually laughed. Once. Sharp and bitter. One mistake? You stole my vacation. Used my credit card for fraud. Threw me out of my own plans for my father's 60th birthday because I wasn't fun enough. Do you even hear yourselves? You're being petty, Jade said, rolling her eyes. You're just mad because we had a better time without you. That's when I stepped fully outside. Let the door close behind me. Stood on my porch looking at all of them. You think this is about Italy? I asked quietly. Dangerously quiet. You think this is about one trip? No. This is about every moment I sacrificed for you. Every dollar I gave thinking it meant something. Every time I let you stay here rent-free while you laughed behind my back. While you called me useful but not fun. We didn't, Mom started. You did, I cut her off. All of you. For 5 years. And now I'm done. Marcus shook his head, disbelief written across his face. So what? We're just homeless now? You're really doing this? No, I said calmly. You have 2 weeks. Rent is now tripled from market rate. Utilities are on you. The guest suite is locked. If you want to stay, you pay. If you don't pay, you leave. He scoffed. You can't be serious. Jade folded her arms. You can't just evict us. That's illegal. I reached into my coat pocket. Pulled out a folded document. The lease agreement my attorney had drawn up and filed 3 days ago. I handed it to Marcus. Actually, I said, I can. It's legal. It's done. My attorney signed off yesterday. The courts have the paperwork. The silence that followed was deafening. And your credit cards? I added, checking my phone. They were declined this morning at the airport coffee shop. I got the notification. Removed you all as authorized users. Every card with my name on it has been cancelled and reissued. To me only. Marcus's hands were visibly shaking as he held the lease. Mom looked like she might faint. Dad just kept staring at the ground, silent as always. Then Marcus moved. Lunged forward. Grabbed my arm. His grip desperate and panicked. Wait, he said, voice actually breaking. Please. You don't understand. I don't have anywhere to go. Jade, she thought this trip would bring us closer to the family. She didn't mean to hurt you. We didn't mean. I looked down at his hand on my arm. Then up at his face. Really looked at him. My younger brother. The golden boy who'd never had to work for anything. Who'd spent years using me and never once wondered what it cost. You were my brother, I said. And you traded me for entertainment value. That's not family, Marcus. That's a reality show. I pulled my arm free. Walked back to the door. Opened it. Stepped inside my empty house. Good luck, I said. And closed the door. Locked it. Left them standing there on the porch in the evening cold. I walked to my kitchen. Made another cup of coffee. And listened to their voices fade as they got back in the car. Heard the engine start. The car pulling away. The sound of them leaving my property. And for the first time in 5 years, I felt like I could breathe. For 3 days after they came back, nothing. Complete radio silence. No calls. No texts. Not even angry voicemails. Just quiet. I had breakfast alone. Coffee and a croissant from the bakery downtown. Sat by my apartment window watching the city wake up. And the quiet didn't feel empty anymore. It felt earned. Deserved. Right. On the 4th day, my phone finally lit up. Text from Mom, can we talk? I'm sorry about what happened. We all made mistakes. Please don't do this to your father. I stared at that message. Read it 3 times. Looking for any acknowledgement of what they'd actually done. Any real apology. Any acceptance of responsibility. Nothing. Just, we all made mistakes, and don't do this to your father. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have anything to say. But because I'd finally realized something crucial. I didn't owe them an explanation. Didn't owe them my time, my energy, my forgiveness. For the first time in my life, I felt no obligation to justify myself to people who had never really listened anyway. Then the real consequences started rolling in. That first week, I did something I probably shouldn't have. But I did it anyway. I sent one email. Group message to the extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins who hadn't been on the Italy trip. People who'd been told I couldn't make it because of work or had to cancel last minute. Subject line, why I wasn't in Italy. The body was simple. A timeline with attachments. Mom's text screenshot, we gave your spot to Marcus's girlfriend. She's more fun. The cancelled trip confirmation showing it had been in my name, paid with my money. A brief summary of 5 years living rent-free in my house. An itemized list of financial support to Marcus, tuition, laptop, car payments, the co-signed Mazda for Jade. And the email from the hotel manager about the unauthorized guest and disputed charges. No commentary. No emotional appeals. Just facts. Just receipts. Just truth. I hit send. Closed my laptop. Made dinner. Went to bed. Within hours, my phone started buzzing. But not from my parents. From everyone else. Aunt Jessica, I had no idea. I'm so sorry they did this to you. Cousin Mark, they told us you couldn't make it because of work commitments. This is absolutely insane. Uncle Dave, your father should be ashamed. I'm calling him. The narrative was shifting. The story they'd been telling, about me being difficult, about me choosing work over family, about me being the problem, was falling apart. Because I had receipts. Because I had proof. Because the truth was on my side. And they couldn't rewrite history when the facts were right there in black and white. That same week, I started getting notifications. Push alerts from my bank app. Transaction declined, Jade trying to buy coffee. Twice. Transaction declined, Marcus trying to get gas. Transaction declined, Mom trying to order groceries online. Every single one of them declined. Because I'd removed them all as authorized users. Every credit card that had my name on it? Cancelled. Reissued to me exclusively. New numbers. New expiration dates. New security codes. Zero access for anyone but me. And it felt good. Not in a vengeful way. In a clean way. Like finally setting a boundary that should have been there from the start. I heard through mutual friends that Marcus got a job. Actually, 2 jobs. Warehouse work in the mornings. Delivery driving in the evenings. The same kind of work I'd done at his age to save money for his college tuition. And Jade? She left. Moved out 3 days after the money dried up. Scrubbed her social media of any photos with Marcus or the family. Unfollowed everyone. Disappeared completely. Turns out her fun had a price tag, and Marcus couldn't pay it anymore. Mom started calling old friends. The same friends she used to mock for having ungrateful children who didn't understand family values. Now she was one of them. Complaining. Asking for advice. Getting none of the sympathy she expected. Dad stayed silent. Of course he did. Just like he'd been silent through everything else. Years of watching our family fall apart while sipping his coffee and reading his newspaper. Never taking a side. Never defending anyone. His neutrality was its own kind of betrayal. 2 weeks after they returned, I got a letter from a lawyer. My parents were claiming partial ownership of the house. Alleged financial contributions over the years. They wanted compensation or a stake in the property. My attorney actually laughed when I showed her. "Do they have proof of these contributions?" she asked. "None," I said. "Because they never paid a dime." She sent a formal request for documentation. Bank statements showing rent payments. Receipts for property tax contributions. Utility bill payments. Any written agreement about ownership or shared equity. They produced nothing. Because there was nothing to produce. The claim died quietly. But I didn't stop there. I filed a formal eviction notice through the courts. Not just the lease change I'd done myself, an official, legal eviction with a court order. It took 3 weeks to process, but it was worth it. They had 30 days to vacate completely. Not 2 weeks to decide. Not negotiable terms. A legal deadline with sheriff enforcement if they refused to comply. Mom sent one final text message, "We didn't raise you to be like this. We miss who you used to be." This time, I replied, "You miss the version of me who never said no. Who never set boundaries. Who let you take and never asked for anything back. That person is gone. And he's never coming back." Dad never reached out. Not once. Years of silence speaking louder than words ever could. 3 months passed. I heard through the grapevine that Marcus was still working those 2 jobs. Warehouse mornings, delivery evenings. Barely making enough to cover his own rent now that he'd moved out of my house. Living the life I'd protected him from for 5 years. Jade stayed gone. Her Instagram eventually reappeared with a new boyfriend. Someone else to fund her lifestyle. Her comments about me being vindictive had been deleted. Probably didn't fit her new narrative. Mom and Dad downsized to a small apartment across town. Somewhere cheaper. Somewhere they could actually afford without living off me. And me? I stayed in my small apartment downtown. The place I'd been renting for over a year while they occupied my house. I thought about moving back into the house I owned, but I realized something. I didn't want it anymore. Too many memories of being used. Too many ghosts of resentment haunting those rooms. So I sold it. Listed it, had it under contract in 2 weeks. Sold it to a nice couple with twins who were so excited about the space, the neighborhood, the possibilities. I used the profit to buy a small condo. 1 bedroom. Just enough space for me. Nobody else's mess. Nobody else's drama. Just mine. One afternoon, 3 months after everything imploded, I got a message from someone I barely knew. Emily. Marcus's ex-girlfriend from years ago. We'd met maybe twice when they were dating, exchanged pleasantries at family events, never really connected. "I hope this isn't weird," her message said. "But I heard what happened. And I just wanted to say, you were the only one who saw through it. The way they treated you was wrong. I'm so glad you finally left. You saved yourself." That message hit me harder than it should have. Because somewhere in the chaos of cutting them off, I'd started wondering. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe I was cruel. Emily's words reminded me, I wasn't crazy. I wasn't cruel. I was just the first one to wake up. I used to think walking away from family was selfish. The ultimate betrayal. The unforgivable sin. Now I know it's self-preservation. It's choosing yourself when nobody else will. It's setting the boundary that should have been there from the start. They taught me that love comes with sacrifice. But they never mentioned it would always be my sacrifice. Never theirs. Always mine. Next week, I'm flying to Norway. Solo trip. Budget airline, small cabin in Bergen, nothing fancy. Just me and the fjords and the mountains I've been dreaming about for years. I've always wanted to see the midnight sun. The way the light never quite fades even at night. But there was always someone else's emergency. Someone else's crisis. Someone else's vacation that I was funding while mine collected dust. Not anymore. Before I left, I did one final thing. I printed everything. Every screenshot, every receipt, every text message, every transaction record from 5 years. Organized them chronologically in a 3-ring binder. On the cover, I wrote in permanent marker, "What useful cost me, 2019 to 2024. Inside the front cover, one sentence, "You said Jade was more fun. You were right. I was never supposed to be fun, I was supposed to be useful." But useful ended when respect did. I mailed one copy to Mom. One to Dad. One to Marcus. A week later, Marcus texted, "Got your package." I didn't respond. I was already at the airport, boarding pass in hand, Norway waiting. 3 months since I canceled that Italy trip. 3 months since I changed those locks. 3 months since I chose myself for the first time in 5 years. Marcus works 2 jobs now. Jade is gone. Mom and Dad live in a small apartment, downsized and quiet. Dad finally broke his silence with one text, "I'm sorry." I didn't reply. Because sorry doesn't refund $9,400. Sorry doesn't give back 5 years of rent-free living. Sorry doesn't erase "she's more fun." I'm not angry anymore. I'm not even sad. I'm just done. And standing on a fjord cliff in Norway, alone and unburdened and finally free, I understood something I should have known years ago. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who shows up for you when it matters. Who values you for who you are, not what you can provide. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is show up for yourself first. I am not your safety net. I am not your backup plan. I am not your bank account, your fallback, or your fool. I am me. And for the first time in my life, that's enough. If you've ever been expected to fund everyone else's dreams while yours collect dust, drop your story in the comments. You're not alone in this. And if you want to hear what happened when someone discovered their family had been forging signatures on loans for over a decade, and how they exposed everything at a family reunion, stick around. That story's coming next. Hit like if this resonated. Subscribe because there's more coming.